Welcome to the Kyoto Network channel. At this channel, we will be introducing key points in thinking about energy and climate change. The fourth theme is, can we fulfill the Kyoto Protocol? The Kyoto Protocol is an accord that requires developed countries to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, such as CO2. It is an important international agreement used to combat climate change. Yes, the Kyoto Protocol is a groundbreaking agreement clearly directed by the United Nations, which states that the global environment cannot be protected without a reduction in CO2 levels. The first commitment period is from 2008 to 2012. During these 5 years, developed countries need to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions by at least 5% compared to 1990 levels. The year 2012 is the last year of this period. Japan's target is a reduction of 6%. The government has said that nuclear power is necessary in order to reduce CO2 levels. However, there are growing concerns on whether Japan can meet this target after the March 11th accidents. Let's look at Japan's trend of greenhouse gas emissions in recent years. During the 90s, it was this period in which the Kyoto Protocol agreement was taken in and domestic policy was structured. However, emissions continued to increase. This period was quite long, wasn't it? There was strong opposition from the industry when trying to strengthen these policies. In the end, only superficial responses were seen. Effective policies still remain to be seen. In the fiscal year of 2007, an all-time high in the amount of emissions was recorded, and the state of the energy supply and consumption, which is the main source of CO2 emissions, was unchanged. At this rate, there was a great fear that the target of the Kyoto Protocol would not be achieved. As you see, there was a big slump in the fiscal year 2008. But this doesn't necessarily mean that this was as a result of effective policies and measures. This is rather an influence from the worldwide economic recession caused by the Lehman shock. Although an economic recession is unfortunate, this decreased Japan's emissions greatly. Then, we are in the current period after the influence of last year's earthquake and nuclear accident. Because nuclear power has stopped, there are concerns about increasing fossil fuel use and increasing emissions once more. This raises concerns towards not meeting the Kyoto target. However, despite this concern, it seems that the Kyoto target can still be achieved. Here is a comparison of CO2 emissions from fossil fuels in the fiscal year of 2010, before the earthquake, and the fiscal year of 2011, after the earthquake. Compared to the fiscal year of 2010, 2011's nuclear power generation has been decreasing each month, whereas there is not much difference seen between the CO2 emissions from fossil fuels. CO2 increase was limited to just 1.7%, which is an unexpected result. It is considered that nuclear power generation would be switched to fossil fuels, thus increasing emissions, but this was actually counterbalanced through energy conservation. Yes, this is true. In 2012, as nuclear power generation nears zero, you can see that CO2 emissions inevitably increase. However, during the fiscal year of 2011, there were some months that were less than the preceding fiscal year. Under the Kyoto Protocol, the data of 4 years from 2008 combined with the fiscal year of 2012 will be evaluated for goal achievement. Even if we were to overestimate and say that the influence of nuclear power generation stopping this year yields a 10% increase in CO2 emissions, the reduction target of 6% is still expected to be reached. The government says that of the 6% reduction target, 3.8% would be expected from an absorption effect by the forest, plus 1.6% is planned to be compensated through purchasing overseas CO2 credits. The remaining 0.6% of domestic reduction target is achievable, even taking into account the effect of nuclear accidents. You may hear elsewhere that, in order to meet the Kyoto target, we need to purchase more overseas carbon credits by using taxpayers' money, and that would damage national wealth further. But something like that would probably never happen. Either way, it is important to note that CO2 emissions in 2011 did not increase as expected, even with the decrease of dependency on nuclear power. The importance of energy saving has risen since last year. We'd like to make this year prove that even without nuclear power, through various energy conservation practices, a limiting of CO2 emissions is possible.